Hello and welcome to the Academy of Modern Martial Arts and our step-by-step Tai Chi instruction. Today we're going to look at movement number 13 of the 24 movement form, kick with right heel or the right heel kick. Here again in this movement, we have a wonderful opportunity to explore a complete weight shift and the emptying of the leg, while also working on the spherical balance that we talked about in the last lesson. As it is the first time we've been asked to kick in the 24 movement form, we will pay special attention to the way in which spherical balance can enable us to be both safe and effective with our kick. Let's just go ahead and walk through the movement together before we examine the different parts of the movement. Beginning where we last left off with our high pat on horse. We're going to take that empty left leg and we're going to extend that heel to the floor while the left hand comes and crosses over the forearm. We're going to transition all of our weight to that left leg, emptying the right, and we're going to draw that right leg up towards our chest. We're going to take a moment here and we're going to extend that heel outward while also simultaneously sending the hands outward. Then we're going to bring that back. We're going to reset the heel on the floor, and that's going to take us as a transition into our next movement. Let's go ahead and look at the right heel kick from the side. So again, from high pat the horse, where our weight is on the right leg and our left leg is completely empty, we're going to step out with that left heel, extending that heel to the floor. The left hand comes over the right forearm as we make our way over the left leg. The hands rotate and come around. We end up picking up that right knee, and we're going to extend out with the heel at whatever height works for us. From there, we're going to pull it back in. And then we're going to prepare ourselves for the next movement, setting that heel down and proceeding into as if double punching the head. But we'll save that part for another day. So let's begin where we last left off with high pat on horse, and let's look at the footwork necessary to go from high pat on horse into the right heel kick. If you recall, in high pat on horse, all of the weight was here on the right leg, as the left leg was 100% empty. And during this movement, we're going to reverse that position. We're going to take that empty left leg. We're going to extend that heel to the floor. From that heel being extended to the floor, we're going to work on transitioning all of that weight and investing and sinking and settling and grounding down into that left leg while simultaneously emptying that right leg and then being able to draw that right leg up into a position before we utilize that leg for a kick. This is the first time we're being asked to kick in the 24 movement form. If you're not used to kicking, kicking can present its own set of challenges. And that brings us right back to that spherical balance that we talked about before. Many times when people go to kick and put all of their weight on one leg, there's a subsequent rise that occurs. So let's take one more look at that notion of spherical balance and where it fits in this movement. At every single point along the way in this movement where we could be asked to or invited to lose our balance. So everything from the transition from the weight being entirely in that right leg for high pat the horse, as that empty left leg goes out, we want to make certain that we extend the heel to the floor. And while we sink into that right foot, we want to make certain that we're still pulling up or lifting out of the front of the body. If we just sink, we can collapse ourselves forward and engender way too much motion out in this direction. What keeps us from losing our balance forward is that even while we're sending that foot down to the ground and while we're sinking down into the floor, we're still lifting up out of the front. So we want to think about sinking from the rear and lifting out of the front side of the body and allow that rotational or spherical balance in that sense of being grounded and being lifted simultaneously to keep us from drifting too far out over that leg. One more time, here we are. We extend that left heel to the floor, and even as we go to sink down into that foot, we're going to lift up out of the front. Now, lest we think it's all about lifting, if we just lift and raise our arms without any sinking effort, again, we can pull ourselves right out of balance and stand up out of that leg. So again, there's a balance. Much as we send our energy down into the floor, much as we lift up out of the front, it's still important that we are mindful of sinking down into this position while lifting up out of that front. So if we do this well, we end up very, very stable throughout this process. Even while the arms go up, the question is, while my arms are being raised, what is sinking in order to pull the arms up? If I were to simply raise my arms, I'll pull myself and my shoulder carriage right up, which again will have this tendency to bring up my center of balance rather than keeping me rooted and seated. So assuming we did the first part well and we step that heel into the floor and we successfully transition the weight over that left leg and we empty the right, when the arms go to lift up, what is dropping or what is sinking in concert with these arms rising up? And the answer is it's those shoulder blades and our back and sinking down into that tailbone. Right leg is empty. So now as we go to pull up that empty right leg, we need to be sinking down through our glute. And then now as we go to kick, if I just kick outward, there's a chance that I'm going to throw myself into the direction of force I was creating with that kick. Instead, it's going to be important as I pull that right knee up and we're from this particular position, as I extend into that kick, I want to make certain that I'm also extending that left arm along and there's a synergy and again, there's a balance. If everything goes well and I'm sinking while lifting and I'm extending to the right while extending to the left, there's a dead stop because everything was in balance. If we overweight one side or the other, if I shift my weight too far to this side to counterbalance my leg, I'll find my balance going over here. If I end up putting too much energy into that kick, I'll end up falling and I won't be able to pull it back. And that's where that notion of this spherical balance comes into play. So from an empty left leg, we send that left leg into the floor. While we sink down into the left leg, we're pulling up through the chest. While we're lifting up out of the arms, we're dropping down in the shoulders. While my hands are coming out, I'm also pulling my shoulder blades in. While I'm bringing my legs and hands and everything to the center, we're compressing to the middle, and then we send everything out in even pressure all the way across that bubble, or that sphere, as it were, and that allows us to come right back into this centered up position with great stability in our form. The last final examination of a few little tidbits for the right heel kick from high pat the horse one more time. We're here. Remember that we want to lift up and it's the heel that comes up first and it's the heel of the left foot that is the first thing that touches the ground. It is the back of the left hand that comes across the top of the right hand. And from here, once our weight starts to get here, we're going to drop the shoulders and we're essentially going to rotate the hands. And that rotation helps pull us around. The unweighting of the right leg, here's that coalescing or that pulling to the center. Abdomen and everything coming up in the front, dropping the shoulders down in the back, stabilizing, extending out for that heel kick, pulling it all back in. And that's in preparation for our next movement, setting that foot down and going into the double punch, which we'll look at next time. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. We hope you had a great time. We hope you found some valuable things. We hope that this notion of spherical balance or attending to our balance in as many ways as we can consider is becoming a little bit more concrete for you. And again, feel free to subscribe to our channel and let us know if there's anything we can do to help support your efforts at home. Until we get to see you next time, take good care of yourselves and be well.